The color lookup adjustment layer unlocks the power of LUTs, or lookup tables. This is a powerful operation that allows you to transfer color information between applications, or to assign preset recipes to simulate film stocks or do advanced color effects. Let me show you how they work. To apply a lookup table is pretty easy. Let's start with the built-in lookup tables. I'll click on the Adjustments tab here, and then choose Lookup Table. It looks like a grid here, and the label is Color Lookup. Now you'll see the ability to apply different type of LUTs. They're organized into your standard 3D LUT, which is more of a color or toning LUT. We have Abstract or Device Link. Now let's work up from the bottom here. Device Link is designed to allow you to choose a LUT that is going to simulate another device. Now, typically, this is going to be for a particular type of output, but as you can see here, they also have a handful of built-in ones here that you can play with that are a little bit different. Under the abstract category, these are designed to be a little bit more over the top. As you can see, they're pretty heavily stylized and will change, for the most part, how things look within the image. And then there are our 3D LUTs. Now, these different categories really are all quite similar. In this case, you'll see looks and cubes. The look format is Adobe's format. That supports a few additional options. But a cube file is a very standard look. So if I try something here like late sunset, you'll see that it really changes the color in the scene and makes it look much later in the day. Now, the key with a lookup table is to adjust its opacity, as well as consider changing its blending mode. Sometimes something a little bit gentler like soft light does a really nice job of allowing it to change the mood or the feeling. So now this late sunset really looks more like a late sunset, in my opinion. Let's set that back to normal and try a few other options here, such as bleach bypass, and you see it gives it a strong look. Remember, besides standard blending modes, you can also click on the layer and play with options for blending. I like to sometimes pull this apart here, and remember, if you hold on the Option or Alt key, you can split these for some smoother transitions, and this can be useful to really target how the layer blends if you want to make that a little bit smoother. So in this case, some of that clipping is blended into the wall, and it really gives it a subtle but still strong bleach bypass. Remember though, all of these options are ultimately up to you. Let's go ahead and delete that and apply a fresh color lookup table. There are a lot of great choices in here. Some of them that are just simple, like film stock, or the different Kodak and Fuji film stocks do an excellent job of taking an image and giving it the look of classic film. You'll see that the black point and white point shift and a nice depth to the color, and these are some of the more subtle but attractive options available. Besides the built-in lookup tables, you can easily add your own. Photoshop ships with a few, but there are many available for download. Let me show you how they work. Let's click here on the color lookup effect, and I'll choose to load a 3D LUT. Now what I can do is navigate to the exercise files. And in the folder here, for folder 5, you'll see a handful of LUTs. Let's try this black and white film stock LUT and choose Open. And you see it applies this great black and white look, which I really like. Now let's add another lookup table, and we'll load another custom LUT here. And this time we'll try the other one with the cool deep blue. Now you see that these two layers individually can work, but they can also be combined for new results. And depending upon the stacking order, it'll affect how things apply. What I'm going to do is put the black and white LUT on first, but change its blending mode. Let's go with something a little more gentle, like soft light, and that creates a nice richening effect. Now I'll turn on the deep blue, but place this into a more subtle mode, like soft light again, and that starts to shift things, changing the light in the scene, or maybe something like hue. And you see it's a little bit more subtle with how it brings out its colors. Remember, with a layer selected, you can also press Shift+, and that's going to step through the different blending modes, allowing you to mix those together. multiplies quite nice there as well. Let's just back off the opacity slightly. And I like that subtle enhancement effect that's bringing out the blues in the shadows and the sky. In any case, color lookup tables are a great way to stylize an image quickly and allow you to encapsulate your own recipes, in fact. Let's take a look at that next. As an advanced user, you're probably excited by LUTs, and what I'd like you to do now is realize that anything you can do with an adjustment layer can be stored as a lookup table. This means some of the complex recipes that you've discovered in this course with blending modes and adjustment layers can all get bundled up into one lookup table. Now, it doesn't support masks or anything like that, but it does allow you to take multiple adjustment layers and concatenate or build those into one lookup table, which can then be applied to images in Photoshop, video editing applications, or even Adobe Lightroom. In the case of this image, I've already applied several adjustments to enhance the photo. First, a curves adjustment, which is a subtle adjustment on the image, just a little lift. Then a black and white conversion using the overlay blending mode, a little pop to the color, the hue and saturation, and some selective color adjustments. Now, you'll notice that the background layer is locked. That's important for this to work. But now, all of these adjustment layers can get encapsulated into a single lookup table. All you need to do is choose File, Export, Color Lookup Tables. Now you're welcome to give it a description and a copyright. Eagles in Alaska. Copyright, Rich Harrington. There we go. And then set the quality. Usually 64 to 32 is a good set. Now, the 3DL and Cube formats are the two most common, but you can use these others as well. I generally recommend sticking with Cube for the broadest compatibility. Click OK, and just choose where to save this. I'm going to put it out to the desktop for now, and call this Eagle. And I'll click Save. Now the lookup table is generated. If I go to the next image that's from the same shoot, I can simply add a color lookup table effect, and then click and load the 3D LUT. Now it's very easy to go right to that file. Let's just navigate to the desktop there. There it is, Eagle Cube, and I'll click Open. And the look and all of those adjustments are instantly applied. Now what I'll typically do is double that. This way, if needed, I can turn one off or simply adjust the opacity of the top layer to taste, allowing me to get something a little bit stronger in case it needs a little boost. In any case, that's a nice change, the before and the after. And it allowed me to steal the adjustments from one layer and put them into another layer document, making it a nice quick fix. One of the greatest advantages of lookup tables is that it makes it simple to apply the same adjustment to several photos. Instead of having to record an action or do a lot of extra work, we can actually take the lookup table, export it from one image, and apply it to several others. This makes it very quick to fix multiple problems. Another thing that you can use a LUT for is to quickly synchronize several images. Let's add that adjustment layer here. And I'm going to click to load the 3D LUT. And this time, I'm going to go back to the exercise file folder and load the one called black and white film stock and click Open. I like that. And what I want to do now is just change that slightly, and I'll use the soft light overlay mode. That's good. A nice little bleaching effect with increased contrast. Now I can take that layer and just reuse it, quickly dragging to other images and dropping. And as you see, it makes it really easy to synchronize images and to do this. Additionally, if you want, you can make this even simpler by just choosing to arrange these into a multiple up view. Now you can see several images side by side. And now what I can do is just drag that across, and you see it drops it in, making it easy to reuse the effect. The window arrange command allows you to see many images side by side, and in fact you can go 4 up or 5 up, or even consolidate them all back into tabs if needed. But this allows you to quickly drag and drop from one canvas to another, which is a great way to synchronize things across multiple images that are similar. In Photoshop, we have the ability to export the LUT in many different formats. Let me walk you through some of the export options and why you might choose one over another. It really depends where you want to send the LUT, so knowing your choices are helpful. One thing I like to do is to create my own custom LUTs, and I find that one of the easiest ways to do this is to use a test image. Now, I've already got several adjustment layers here, and you see I've placed them into their own folders just to make it easier to organize them as a group. But watch this process from the top. What I can do is add my own custom adjustments. For example, a curve. And taking advantage of things like the On-Image tool, it's very simple to click and drag to define things. Maybe I want to brighten up the highlights a little bit, but start to darken down the midtones and crush the shadows just a little. And you see that that curve generates a nice high contrast look. Then I can go back in and try something like the hue saturation command. Using that same On-Image tool, I can start to tone colors down, targeting particular colors for manipulation, such as the oranges here for a little bit of a washed out skin tone. Maybe I'll bring some of that pink back though in the lips so they don't look quite so washed out. That's not bad. There we go. I think that looks good. I'll lift the lightness just a little. And what you can do is essentially go through the image and target the different colors, rolling the hue, adjusting the lightness and the saturation, or even just click on the image and do the same sort of thing. So now I've got this really cool blue jean look with reduced skin tones, high contrast, and rich, deep blues. What I can easily do is select that, and I recommend grouping it into a single group. And now with that active and the background layer flattened, notice it's locked, I can choose File, Export, Color Lookup Tables. I'll give this a name, click OK, and then name the file, and click Save. Now in the future, on another image or this image, it's easy enough to just take that LUT, choose to load it, and apply it to this image. And you see that look is encapsulated in the single layer, which is really quite cool. Now, if you have an existing LUT, you can also combine that with other adjustment layers. So maybe you have a LUT that you like, but you just want to vary it a little bit. Well, you can load it in, tweak it with additional adjustment layers, and then resave it out as a new LUT, which is a great workflow. And remember, these LUTs will actually work on other applications like Premiere Pro, DaVinci Resolve, After Effects, and in fact, even the latest version of Lightroom. A recent change to Lightroom is an advanced camera profile that allows you to attach other settings. Now we can actually import lookup tables and attach them to our Lightroom presets. This means that a lot of the advanced things you do in Photoshop can translate to a Lightroom color adjustment. Let me show you how to take the Photoshop LUT and attach it to a Lightroom preset. One of the easiest ways to create a new Lightroom profile is to actually use Adobe Bridge. What you have to do is select an image and then right-click and open that image inside of Adobe Camera Raw. This will give you a different user interface to the engine that's used under the hood inside of Lightroom. Once the image is open, you could take advantage of any adjustments that you want to the image. For example, I can recover the highlights and lift the shadows a little bit here, put a little bit of clarity into the image, and pop the vibrance. And now simply switch on over to the Presets tab here. And you'll see a lot of different presets. Now if you click on the New button, it's just going to bring up a standard dialog for saving a preset. If you hold on the Option or Alt key and click on that New button, it brings up an Enhanced dialog. Now you can choose what's included in the preset. So for example, let's go into a few other tabs here and apply a little bit of a contrast curve and some noise reduction here. There we go. A little bit of extra sharpening. I'm just holding down the Option key here as I drag to view the mask. That looks good. And a little bit of a post-crop vignette. There we go. with some additional feathering to blend it. Now let's go back to that Presets tab, hold down the Option or Alt key, and then click on the new preset. Now you see you can decide what is included. So the post-crop vignette, you'll notice that sharpening is not an option because that's not adjusting color or tone. So only the tabs that really affect color and tone are included. You can also do some auto-toning to the image so that the preset forces the image to be auto-corrected before it stylizes it. Now let's load a color lookup table. I'm going to grab the one that I created earlier, the eagle one, and choose load. And that's encapsulated into the preset. Now you can assign a color profile if you want, and tell it how to handle the minimum and maximum black and white point, and then just give this a name. I'll call this Crisp Landscape, and I'll save it to my user profiles and click OK. Now the preset has been saved, and if I go back to my main tab here and invoke the profile browser, you'll see there it is. Now you can launch Lightroom Classic as well, and you'll find that all of the new presets that you added for camera profiles are actually available. So if I want to use this landscape look, it's just a click away. Select the image, and then in the Develop module, just click on the Profile Browser button. Now you can scroll down here to your user profiles, and if you want, you can also view these here as a grid or a large icon. And I see there is my new landscape look. So with one click, it is applied to the image and updated, and you'll notice that you do have the ability to adjust its strength here with the amount slider, which is very cool. So all of these options here are just a quick click away, and it gives you a lot of flexibility. So if you want to make your own custom profiles here and encapsulate lookup tables in them, it's a piece of cake, and that's what we've got here. You can just use Adobe Bridge and the Camera Raw module, or the next time you open up a raw file into Photoshop, same thing, and then save your own profile. Remember, it's as simple as option clicking on the new item under presets, and that opens up a special dialog. So just make the adjustments that you want on any tab, jump on over to presets and option or alt click on the new item, and this is where you could attach a lookup table as well as set some other important priorities to lock in the way that your image is developed. Similar to lookup tables, gradient maps offer a lot of flexibility. Let's move on now and take a look at a different way of colorizing or stylizing our image